there has been a renewed discussion over whether or not associate nations require something more to actually shed that tag of so-called being minnows, or whether or not it is something that is still very much outside of the purview of the larger cricketing world. That debate has largely been fueled by the fact that a lot of associate nations have made some pretty good showings in the early stages of the 2026 T20 World Cup. However, one particular person from an associate nation has now spoken out and basically called on the ICC to do a lot more. That person is USA batter Shayan Jahangir, who basically said that associate nations needed a lot more funding if they were to come close to being competitive, because according to him, the talent pool is there. They just need more resources and, more importantly, more exposure. Let's take a look at some of the things he had to say. First off, he started off by saying that the exposure and the kind of funding that we get from the ICC is lacking. We haven't been nurtured properly. That part is key. Where he's saying we as associate nations haven't quite been nurtured the same way that other nations perhaps might. And it's not a wrong point to make, and one that he continues to make further going forward when he says that I think if the ICC pays more attention to all the associate nations, you'll see more big games and you'll see these teams become big teams. So what he's saying is that if the ICC so wants to, they can focus more on associates, and that associate tag will go away. All of them will end up becoming big teams. Now, he's not just talking about funding per se, because he, as he says, more funding will lead to more exposure, which will be of better benefits to the associate nations. He cites one key example to show why that is the case. He says that there's one guy from Nepal who scored a 9-ball half century, yet he's still struggling to play league cricket globally. The person he is referring to here, by the way, is Dipendra Singh Airi, who scored a 9-ball 50, which is pretty much a world record at this point in time. As he says, he's still not getting league cricket gigs despite having that in his name. And remember, in T20Is, no matter if it's an associate playing an associate nation, all T20I games are accorded international status by the ICC, because they believe that the shortest format is the one that will help other nations adopt the sport quickly. So technically, that's a T20I record breaker who, as he says, struggles to get league gigs because it was done in some obscure game, and whilst it was reported on, it wasn't seen by too many people. And again, it's easy to see where it is that Shayan Jahangir's point comes from. More funding could potentially lead to a lot of these associates actually developing their skills better. But is it possible for the ICC to divert funds away from the bigger teams, the full member nations, and funnel more into the associate teams? That's where the challenge really lies, and perhaps that's where associate nations will perhaps need investments from private bodies to ensure that they can get their league cricket up and running, which could perhaps become a source of better earnings for them. Like in USA, you've got Major League Cricket, or MLC. That comes about from funding from, of course, a lot of Indian team owners as well as foreign private backed owners, which would potentially ensure that the league can become a gold mine in terms of generating revenue. That revenue can then be pumped back into US cricket and help it flourish further. Because if you ask me, whilst they're right to ask the ICC to do more, from a financial sense, I don't think it'll be possible, because full member nations would understandably end up kicking up a storm. So it's a delicate situation, but one that still isn't, if you ask me, beyond solvable. But what is your take? Let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget, as always, to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X and Facebook, and stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.